Being aware sounds good on paper, but in reality, it's not the best. There's a lot of suffering that comes with being a deeply conscious person. And I like to consider myself as a somewhat conscious person. And the reason it's not very enjoyable is because, for example, you could be at a party and there could be 30 people, and you could be analyzing each conversation and you could see how fake these conversations are, how fake the people are, instead of just enjoying the conversation with the people you met at the party. Another great example is if I were to go to a grocery store like Walmart or Target or wherever, and I were to analyze each individual person, I myself can see like these people really don't know what's going on. They can't see clearly. And it's not their fault. It's a biochemical state of being that they were provided with upon birth. And a lot of people can't change the way they think. It's just the way they were born. It's genetics. And unfortunately, a lot of people were not born with the greatest genetics when it comes to this stuff. And there's a lot of people out there who were born with great genetics. They're able to see outside the box. It's like you're in a jail cell and some people are able to see the bars out of the window and they're able to see out of it and a clearer, more bigger vision for their life. Yet some people are just okay with being in the cell. And if you're someone who reads books, is somewhat smart, and is genuinely observant about the things that go on around your life, you can probably tell, and you probably are smart enough to know that the more aware you are sometimes can negatively impact you. Like when you see something that on the surface looks great, and then you take a look at it underneath the surface, which is only really available to do if you're somewhat smarter, it's nowhere near as good looking, right? It's like that one girl you go out with on a date who looks great at the party, has some beautiful makeup on, she looks great, right? And then you get home with her and then you wake up with her the next morning, the makeup's off and she looks ugly as shit. Like that's just the reality of how it is for 99% of people who are actually aware. And throughout my life, I've had, in many cases, people who I know and friends of mine who are much smarter than me, much more aware than me, and observing them over the years that I've known them, even if it's a few months that I have, I can tell that they're mainly just depressed. They don't really enjoy life. Like I have a few people who I know right now, I'm not gonna say their names, but they know too much. When I speak to them, I'm like, you know a little too much, and it's honestly frightening. And you look and seem depressed. I don't like this vibe that I'm getting from you. And look, I've experienced this myself too. Sometimes when I deeply analyze stuff or I research a ton about a specific thing, I start to realize the same thing. I'm like, this sucks ass. Like, this is not what I thought it was. And then I start to think, I wish I could go back to the time where I didn't know this, because now it's very unenjoyable to do said thing. Because truthfully, when I'm with people who I'm not inherently comfortable with, I am not the most social person. I'm more introverted than extroverted. And so I like to really just observe things, analyze people. And it's like, dude, I see these people for who they really are. They just eat up and they're all this brain dead consumers. And something that I want to talk about too is if you're out doing this with another person, maybe it's your friend, your family, your brother, whatever it is, right? And you're with them and you bring up the idea of what you see. You're like, how do you see that? Like, do you see this person? They look brain dead, or, you know, that person doesn't even know what's going on. You think to yourself, or you tell that person that you're with, and they're like, bro, what the hell are you talking about? And you're like, why did I even start speaking? You get that feeling of like, oh my God, why did I say this? Or am I just an idiot? Or like, am I the one who's brain dead? Whatever it really is, you get that regret, right? It's like a remorse, buyer's remorse or speaker's remorse, for example. You just regret saying that. You're like, why did I start talking about this said thing? And the truth is, in 99% of scenarios that you probably experience, most people are not genuinely happy. And when you come across people who are actually happy, or people who make you feel happy, you want to cherish it. You're like, this is the best. Like, I love this shit. I want to be around these people more often. Like, for example, yesterday, Easter, I was with my family, a bunch of family, right? And it was amazing. We were just all playing basketball. I was with my family, my aunts, my cousins and whatnot. And it was genuinely amazing. Like, I was just enjoying the company who I was with, right? It was great. And that's something that I'm really grateful I've been able to do, right? And if you have the option to do the same thing, go do it. Don't try to be aware, right? I could have sat there, there's versions of me that maybe could have popped out and sat there, and when I was playing basketball on a Sunday evening, on Easter Sunday, I could have been thinking to myself, what am I doing? I should be out working, or I should be traveling. I should be doing something better. I shouldn't just be in my hometown doing the same old thing. And so at the end of the day, being an overthinker or an observer, or someone who's inherently more smart than the average person, it's not great. And I'm not here to say this in a cocky way, but I do feel as if I'm more aware consciously of what's going on. I've been able to achieve some sort of financial freedom and do things with a genuine, like almost 100% freedom to my life. Like I can do basically whatever I want. Of course, I'm not at the level where I can travel, privately or do anything extraordinary, but I can basically do whatever I want. I can go almost wherever I want. And don't take it for granted if you have the availability to just kind of be, I guess, brain numb in certain scenarios, because it's honestly a gift. If you're that type of person who can just go to a party and enjoy the company without thinking, what are these losers doing around me, right? If you want to consider them losers. I don't necessarily do that, but when you're inherently more observant, your brain will start to think that way. And another thing that's huge is when you're someone who's inherently more observant, smarter, you can tend to see why people do the things they do. Like you can see the thoughts behind their actions. I actually made a video on this a little bit ago, and I was talking about how when people do things, you can see why. And it's so true, because let's say you see someone who's hurt. They might do something that hurts another person, and you could see why they do that. A lot of people will be like, why would that person do that? Why? They just hurt that person. But someone else who's a little bit more observant, like I said, can see why. Like, for example, I know someone who's inherently like a more depressed, sad person, and the way they see life is in a more sad way. They don't do things that the average person might do, and I know exactly why. It's because the way they grew up. They grew up in a very depressed state of being, and it's sad. Like, it's an unfortunate reality for that person, but I understand why they do that. And so if you are the type of person who can see people's thoughts behind their actions, that's another sign that you are inherently more smart, you have a higher IQ, you're much more observant than the average person. Now look, we've all heard the saying, ignorance is bliss. That's very true, right? It's hard to work a regular 9-to-5 job for myself when you know it's all a bunch of bullshit. Like when you wake up at 9, go to your bullshit job, make a minimum, barely any money, right? You're like, why the hell would I even waste my life doing this? I'd rather be unemployed. There's so many people out there who don't see that, right? They just work the regular 9-to-5 job thinking it's normal. For me, I don't. I'm like, this is a bunch of bullshit, and you are most likely a regular slave. Like, you're just working a regular job. You don't do anything extraordinary, but for them, that's a regular life. So I can't shame them, and I don't think of 9-to-5 people as any less than me whatsoever. I just think to myself, like, I could never do that. And at the end of the day, you have to think mostly for yourself. Of course, family, friends, that's very important, and you should care about them, but yourself should be your #1 priority. You shouldn't think, oh God, how can I help this person before I help myself? I see it all the time. People who are not inherently smart do this. Like, it's all ties in to the biochemical state of their brain. People who are not very smart don't go out of their way to fix themselves first. They fix other people, right? They try to teach the dog how to fly. Don't do that. Teach yourself how to do things instead of teaching other people. Now look, in this video, I'm not trying to be braggadocious or flexy and say that I'm smarter than you, because it's not true, right? I'm just mainly talking about my experience as someone who has been inherently more observant of the things that go on in this world. And I'm not trying to say this in a bad way, and you get what I'm trying to say, right? So with that being said, if you guys aren't subscribed, make sure to click the subscribe button. I really appreciate all the support that I get on this YouTube channel. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. So once we get there, I'm gonna be super hype. I appreciate all the love and support that I've gotten throughout this journey as being a social media content creator. And with that being said, I'll see you on the next one. Let's get it.